How's it going, guys? So I am finally doing my first proper review of the GTX 960, and the one I have here with me today happens to be from my friends at Zotac. Now, Zotac has two different flavors of GTX 960, this one here being the more modest option with a slight factory overclock, which you can find for $199. And for $10 more, you can get their Amp Edition, on which they've pushed the core clock even further, added a beefed up cooler, and a pretty nice looking backplate. Paul's Hardware does a great review of the Amp Edition, so in case you haven't already seen it, I'll put a link in the description. Here's a quick side-by-side comparison between the two cards, and please forgive that I'm using the Newegg website. I was gonna have this one kid I know make a custom slide for me, but he died in a depressing Nationwide commercial. Now I won't go too into detail here because I'm sure by now the GTX 960 specs have all been etched into your minds, but I did want to quickly remind that the GTX 960 does come with the whole family of NVIDIA technologies like dynamic super resolution and G-Sync and Shield support. The card also supports up to 4 monitors with a smart offering of video outputs including 3 DisplayPort 1.2s, 1 HDMI 2.0, and dual-link DVI. The cooler itself uses a gray metallic construction for its semi-open shroud and has some stylish plated accents with very tasteful vendor branding on the front. Akin to other GTX 960s available, the fans on this card remain idle until the GPU reaches a certain load, and even during lighter scenes while I was gaming, the fans held their bearing. When they eventually did spin up during a firefight, I really couldn't hear them at all through my Define R5, despite having removed some of the sound dampening panels up top. All things considered, it's no surprise that Zotac's sound testing for this card was conducted with a long-eared Jerboa. The GPU idles nicely at 38 degrees Celsius, which is impressive considering that's achieved with 0 RPM passive cooling. With the fans active, temps didn't go above 71 degrees Celsius when gaming, which is really nice to see. Now, apart from minimal heat output, the card's single 6-pin PCIe connector and 120-watt TDP makes it a great low-impact option for something like an HTPC. I know that personally when I was planning out my home theater PC, I wanted to make it as small as possible, and that meant using an SFX power supply that didn't quite have enough watts to drive a very demanding card. So I would think that considering what's available today, the 960 might be a good solution for those of you looking for a similar setup. It also helps that the card's only 8 inches long, which makes it friendly to many small form factor cases. As for the rest of the cooler, you do get a slim heatsink permeated by 2 6mm copper heat pipes. Yeah, it seems pretty basic, but based on the temps I was getting, this configuration works beautifully. As an aesthetic choice though, I would have liked to see nickel-plated heat pipes to cover up the copper color. It's just that it kind of looks, how do I put this politely, ugly. You do get a nice black PCB, however, with an SLI finger for up to 2-way SLI, and if you want to see some SLI benchmarks of the GTX 960 as well as the single GPU results for this card, I've already posted them in my 960 SLI versus 970 video, so you can check the performance out there. What you'll find there is that the GTX 960 is undeniably tailored for 1080 gaming. The 128-bit memory interface as well as the other memory specs confirm this, and while the 960 has fallen short of our expectations in some ways, it does seem to check all the boxes for 1080 gamers in need of a power-efficient card at the most affordable price point. As for Zotac's take on the GTX 960, I honestly think it's one of the more sensible designs for the card that I've seen. A lot of other 960s have fat, longer coolers on them, but I don't really think that's necessary for such a low power card that probably shines best in something like an HTPC or even a small Steam box. There's also been a lot of talk that the specs and performance of the GTX 960 feels more akin to a 950 Ti, so when I see a 10-inch 960 sporting a big aggressive cooler, it feels like it's trying to be something it's not, and I definitely don't get that impression with this card from Zotac. Achievement unlocked for self-awareness. Not to mention a fancier cooler generally warrants a few extra bucks from your wallet. But I don't know, what do you guys think? Is the GTX 960 what you expected, and what kind of system could you see yourself using it for?